on the Bowood estate, Bowood House and Gardens. You'll see it from the A4, a sign from the A4 and the M4 to come and visit. And it is a grand estate with a grand house in the ownership of the aristocracy even today. Obviously they've diversified, golf course, hotel, all the rest of it. It wouldn't be remarkable except for the fact it's within the forests of Chippenham. Chippenham's over there. Calne is just down there. But the forest, is a royal area. Not always woodland, but mostly, because that's where deer want to be. And it's no longer, everything's been deforested since the medieval period. But these places belonged to the king. It was for where he went to hunt. The wild animals, the deer, belonged to him. If you had a piece of land within the forest, you were governed by different laws. And that meant, you know, even if a deer was eating all of your wheat, it didn't matter a damn. Those deer belong to the king, you can't kill them. So of course there were periods of disturbance because the boundaries of forests moved backwards and forwards, a bit like the tide over the years, as people, those people who owned wheat fields, like, you know, for example, wheat fields getting eaten by deer, resisted, you know, when the local king's representative came down and said, oh no, I'm not forested here. So it moved backwards and forwards. As juries were assembled of local people, they fiddled things a bit. Of course, the kings didn't like that very much, so they'd come back a few years later. There were disturbances when forests took up land that the people wanted to be free on, and there were disturbances when they were deforested. So let's not get confused with the forest I was talking about last week. That was the forest of Braden, which is only a few miles to the north of here. This is a different forest, but I'm following my muse. I wanted to come and see this one. Up there in Braden, when it was disforested, I think is the correct word, people rioted then too, because it was openly declared that the new owners wouldn't want people accessing that land for common usage, for the right to go and collect firewood, which they used to have, the commoners used to have. So though they were declared by royal representatives as being, and they went to court. This is a country where the rule of law exists. They went to court and had hearings saying no, this has never been governed by common law, common rights. So the people rioted as they were basically divested of their rights. And what was interesting about Braden was it went on for at least, you know, for a few years. So there was a landowner who was complaining that he had people declaring commoners' rights, and they were still doing it, into the next century. So it is, you're seeing social warfare, class warfare going on in the country around afforestation and disafforestation. So in Selwood, the next forest along down here, or maybe the next one after that, they rioted big time. But I wanted to come and see. Now you may know me as an anglo-saxonist. I look at the old English charters, which are basically maps of the landscape in writing, telling us how they saw the landscape, what their names were for it. And a lot of those names have survived today, as I hope I've been able to prove over a couple of hundred videos. But this I've gone forward a few hundred years into the forest. Now this is the proper medieval period, not the early medieval period, which is the politically correct version for the Anglo-Saxon period. The Middle Ages later on, we're into a zone of the English language where we can quite easily understand what they're saying, and we can trace back to the Old English, the original wording. So there is a place called Horselepride. Gate just down here, and that was originally that went through the Middle Ages. We've misunderstood because we no longer speak Old English. There is a breach in our understanding. So hor meant mud. It can mean a horse, but it meant mud. Slad is somewhere where you've slid. It's a slide, so it's a muddy slide, and a rid is a wreath, which is a stream. So it's the stream of the muddy slide, and that's on this. So we're seeing a Middle English word that's derived from Old English, but has lost its meaning to us. We've now converted those words into something more meaning to us that seems to us something to do with horses. And that leads us on to ideas about authenticity in the landscape, which I'm planning on talking about. This infernal godless device recommends the following video to watch next.